What's up, buddy?
Well, another day. Getting closer to pool leagues. It looks like
We are absolutely.
we got a we
have
rogue flying.
We have we had an extra guest today. My intro for some reason didn't work. I don't know what I messed up, so we'll figure it out. We're gonna do some talking here for a second while we talk. I'm gonna do some sharing. So
while he's doing some sharing, I'll just take this moment. We got the table recovered back here. We got the Simonis HR on it. This thing is lightning fast. I also got to thank everybody for helping out. We got Justin Thompson's came over, donated some time. Dustin Duche did the bulk of the work. Jason Welker came over and donated some spots. He also gave us our brake pads and stuff like that, which was really nice of him. And everybody pitched in. Trenton Bertlow also out here, helping out. And I really appreciate it for those guys. Everybody that donated, you know who you are. I can't remember everybody's name, but there was a lot of people that pitched in. The only thing that we haven't got yet for the pigeon coop table here is we ain't got the rails in because we're having a hard time finding the Ridgeback rails because nobody seems to have any for some reason. It's like there's a shortage of Ridgeback rails for some reason. But Jason also talked to us about getting a different set of rails, but we're working on something. We do have the money built up for it. Going to have a little bit of a ring game tonight. We got a little $20 action going on right back here between father and son. Bill on the hill and son Bryant's going at it. Race to 5 for $20. Going to do a little ring game tonight. So we're going to be having some fun. A little later on, we're going to have Mark Wilson on. The one and only Mark Wilson is going to be on here.
So get your questions ready and put them in the comments.
If you do have some questions, make sure that you get us on. Put us on the Facebook and or YouTube. I think we're running both tonight, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So if you got that, make sure that you put your question up, and we'll ask Mark whatever you want us to ask him. I mean, he was Mosconi Cup captain multi-times.
Mosconi Cup savior.
Yeah, he clinched the winning point one year. What was that, 94, 95, something of that nature?
96.
96. Back in the 90s.
It was back in the day. We'll just say that.
Mark Wilson, I mean, doesn't need an introduction in the billiards world, that's for sure. I mean, the guy.
He's probably forgot
top-notch
more
trainer.
He's probably forgot more about pool than we know.
You know what? The thing about it is I've seen Mark play. I just haven't seen him play recently. I mean, mostly, he's doing kind of like this kind of stuff. He's streaming, working with people, talking pool.
Right.
More than he is playing pool nowadays. But
he does some really cool. And he's got some videos floating around of some of his workshops he does at tournaments. And stuff.
He's got the book out. We're going to have to ask him about if there's going to give more copies of that book out. So there's going to be a lot of questions to ask Mark. So make sure if you got questions, make sure you get them on Facebook and or YouTube, because we're going to have a lot of questions to ask, and we have something that sounds like a helicopter in my ears.
No, we'll figure it out. I don't think it's going across anything.
I just hope them guys can't hear this.
I don't think they can.
It sounds like I got something going on here. Oh, there. I think that's it. I think we got a bad cord going on. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank everybody that's helped pitch and get this table back in shape. I mean, this thing just runs like lightning.
You know what I bet it is? Nope. Maybe it was.
Let's just go ahead and unplug it. So just unplug it. It'll be fine.
Was it? I think it was.
I'm not sure, but
it stopped.
It did stop.
So is it gone now?
It's gone out of my ears.
Yeah, I think it was that.
Okay, but yeah,
we figured it out. Sorry about that, boys and girls.
So we are getting closer. Pool leagues are looking like they're really, really, really close. We're moving into phase 4. And
plenty of places opened up today. If you didn't notice, we shared a bunch of stuff on the TNT page. I mean, I didn't get everybody, but I mean a ton of places.
Froggy's opened back up doing food.
Corner Tap,
Cardwell's. Everybody downtown, Whiskey Barrel Cooler. I do got to give big props out to Renee down there at the cooler. I mean, he hooked me up for a nice boat ride with Chris Garza. I hadn't seen Chris Garza in a long time. I mean, Chris Garza didn't play any pool, but boy, he was sure nice enough to take me out in his $60,000 pontoon boat. Boy, was that nice. He let me drive it and everything.
Oh, my goodness.
Which was, I don't know if that was a good move on his part, but I took that thing out and I lowered her down and put the boom on the thing. That thing, for a big old pontoon boat thing, boy, that thing
Buckshot,
would move.
I'll check with our stage man, or Buckshot wants to know if he still has beer in the fridge.
Some people have been drinking some beer out of there, Buck, so I don't know. You might want to get down here and check it out. We are going to have a ring game tonight, Buck, so make sure you want to come and hang out for that.
So we're live from the Pigeon Coop. It's TNT Off the Rail and Bud, by the way. That's Hollywood. For those of you who don't know, and if you don't know, you've been missing out. I don't know why, but we're live on YouTube and Facebook. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and then like and follow. Click on your live notifications and do all that other cool stuff so you don't miss anything, because our shows just keep getting better and better. We keep wrangling people in here to come talk to us. Last week was an awesome show. Talking to Dallas was a ton of fun. I mean, he was and I'm pretty sure that we could have talked to him all night. I think he was really content going, just talking, and he had such great stories.
I know he did, and the thing about it is, what I really felt bad about is I wasn't feeling the greatest that day, and I was kind of in and out, back and forth, and I was really looking so forward to it. I was surprised that he knew Wainwright, he knew my Uncle Jimmy, he knew all the guys from this area. We still got this rogue fly flying around here.
He about smacked me in the face. You see that?
And I mean, it was really, really, really cool to have him on and listen to the stories. Just straight laced guy. I mean, just all about pool. You could just tell that at one time he ate and slept pool just 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun to hear.
And our guest a little bit later on here is we're going to have Mark Wilson, and I believe them two played together in the Moscone Cup.
They played on the Moscone Cup together 2 years.
We're moving up in the world. We got all these people from high end places coming on the TNT show here. Yeah. So this is kind of nice.
We're doing something.
We're going places. We're going places.
We're getting there. Some good tournaments went on over the weekend. They did another one up there in Legends, Straight Out of Quarantine 2.
Part 2, yes. Part 2. I mean, a really great tournament, and got to give big props out there to Jack Dillman. I mean, Jack Dillman, I told him, and I don't know if he's listening, but if you are, I told him, I said, I played him I think it was my second match. I won my first round, and I met him in the second round, I believe it was. And he was stroking the cue well. He just looked like he was playing good. He had all the confidence in the world, and he went on to win the tournament. And I wasn't surprised, to be honest with you. I mean, Jack has come a long ways. A lot of people don't realize that kid, and this is no offense to Jack, but I'm sure he probably agree with me. A couple years ago, I watched him play down in Iowa. I think it was at the state tournament, and he was playing a gentleman who is a really good player, but he was getting spotted a very large spot in a 10-ball game and just getting crushed. And he just couldn't make balls. He just wasn't the player that he is today. And it just goes to show you, with dedication, getting out there and playing all the time, working on your game, Jack Dillman's come a long ways. And I mean, I'm a big advocate of his. I mean, the guy plays good. We had Steve Oder made a good appearance in that one. I think he got in the fourth, fifth.
He fifth, sixth. Him and I got the results
Sam
right
Maggio.
Here on my paper here.
Yeah, Sam Maggio. Yeah. Yes, congratulations to Sam out there too.
Jack Dillman, first place, second place. Kurt. Is that Tamer Kurt Bogan? Is that what that is? Tamer Kurt Bogan, I believe. I'm just reading this the way it was. So
Kurt Bogan, yeah. And then Tony, I don't know how you pronounce his last name.
Eilers, I believe.
Josh Johnson taking fourth.
Yeah. Fifth, sixth, occupied by Sam Maggio and Steve Oder.
Right.
Seventh and eighth, Brad Thompson and Matt Van Campen.
Yes, Matt Van Campen making a good appearance. I was surprised, to see Will Thompson. Just didn't, for some reason, just didn't have that day.
I noticed his name is a little absent from this.
Yeah, where is it? Is it on there?
It's not on there.
Did they go to 21st place, maybe?
No, this must be the 70-30 line.
I'm 70-30% sure that Will Thompson finished in at least the top 25. Sorry, Will. I like to
had to go there. Eric posted up the results on the QC Billiards group, so you can check those out. He always posts them up there. Eric does a great job, so good job to Eric Gardner. And he says thank you to all the players, and as always, Legend Sports Bar for hosting back-to-back weekends to get everyone their tournament fix after the long layoff. He says the Grinder of the Day award goes to Tony Ellers. He lost his first match and fought all the way back to finish.
He did. And we got the big matchup coming, the big tournament coming tomorrow. A lot of us are going to be heading down
to Peoria
to Racks on the Rocks.
Racks on the Rocks. Do I have that? I have the.
I think me and Dave Noble are going to ride down there. We're going to give it a shot. Their handicap system is a little different. I think it starts from 3 all the way up to 11 or 13 or whatever it is. And so I don't know exactly how they place everybody in there. But we're going to go down there. I think we're going to give that a shot. Bob Steinhagen's in the house.
Yeah, Bob's hanging out. I'll look that up while I'm doing it. So, I started doing some wheeling and dealing because I'm ready to get leagues going. Unfortunately,
me too.
We did have to cancel the Dixon division of the doubles league that we were doing. I am working with everybody in that right now. So if you signed up to play in the Dixon Doubles, make sure you get over to the TNT Leagues page and check out some information there, because we're trying to find a way to salvage it. And if we can salvage part of the season, we can still do something with the City Cup. And the Rock Falls division, we just finally heard from our last team. We only lost one team, so we have 10 teams in that. And right now, the tentative start is July 12th. So just in a couple weeks.
That's just right around the corner.
Yeah, in a couple weeks. I was calling up the venues and asking them. I said, well, you just trying to touch base, find out when you guys are ready or when you're comfortable. When you guys, come on, let's go. They said, let's go.
Well, and I could, you gotta look at it from these bars' point of view and stuff like that. I mean, they've been closed down for a very long time, and I mean, to be honest with you, I'm surprised some of them made it. I mean, you start going months without an income and, customers and so on and so forth. I mean, it makes it a little bit rough. I mean, and we're not only talking bars. I mean, we got Mr. Steinhagen in the house. Car sales, I'm sure, are down. I'm
we're
sure
losing Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese looks like it's closing the doors. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. In my profession, to be an electrician and stuff like that. A lot of the accounts that I worked up in Rockford, some of them places they're just closing up.
There's a lot of big places. I just heard GNC's closing a bunch of places. I mean,
it can't be good. I know that. I mean, eventually this has to clear up. We're going to get on the right track. We're going to get headed in the right direction.
But it's gonna take all of us doing our part too. You guys remember this now that the Phase 4 has moved in. Be careful so we don't go backwards.
Right.
But remember how much you were sitting at home saying, I want to go to the bar, I want to go do this. Take your ass there and do it.
Right.
And don't be stingy. And remember, these guys had to jump through hoops. A lot of these places had to jump through hoops to be able to be open to do this and to have you guys back in. So be patient, be courteous, give them a little slack, because they have to do things a little different than you might be used to. So don't get all bent out of shape if things don't go quite like they did the last time you were there. Just be happy you're there and make sure you show them how happy you are to be there.
They got to shake off the rust a little bit.
And on top of that, they have to shake off the rust, and they have to go by some pretty weird, crazy rules. So.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know what the rules are going to be as far as it goes for, if you have to wear a mask or if you're not wearing a mask or if you're doing, what the policies are going to be and stuff like that. Because, I mean, I don't know. I haven't followed it close enough. I guess I probably should follow it a little closer than what I should, because, a person in my position probably should be paying attention to what I should and shouldn't be doing here. But, it is what it is. I just, you got one life to live, and we're all going to just do the best we can here from here on out. And hopefully, we get past this whole COVID thing, get past a lot of other things that are going on in society, and get back on track here and going back to, living a little bit of more of a normal life. You know what I'm saying?
I forgot. Yeah. Normal's still going to be a weird word for a while. And and kind of totally off subject, but so if you were in the Rock Falls division for that doubles league, keep an eye on the TNT League group. There'll be more information about that. Right now, like I said, the tentative start date is the 12th. That's Sunday afternoons. I will have some information. The schedule will most likely be out this weekend.
So can I ask a quick question?
Go for
it. I think you touched bases on this, but maybe I wasn't paying close attention. So the Dixon Double Leagues is not going to happen?
Right now, a couple weeks ago, we announced that it was canceled because we were going to end up running into the fall league.
So them teams are welcome to still come down here.
I did tell them if they wanted to come up and find some bars here that they could, but not too many of them were, you know what I mean? So we kind of started talking a little bit about maybe picking a different day in Dixon so that they could play their season out. Because right now, I mean, part of the problem was there was so many teams in Dixon that we're going to run into the Blackhawk Fall League, and we're not trying to bump heads with anybody or anything like that.
No, absolutely.
And the TNT Fall League as well. Correct. So, which wasn't, obviously it was going to be an issue, but they want to play, and they said, well, let's pick a different day. So we're going to try to pick a different day. So we're working on it, because a lot of people are kind of still excited about that City Cup thing. I was excited about doing something with that, and I'm hoping we can. So.
I think it'll be a lot. I think that'll be very, very interesting. And the thing about it is I never even thought about putting a team together for doubles. I don't even know if I talked to anybody about that or not.
I don't remember. I meant to ask you about that. I don't even remember either.
I mean, I'd probably play. I mean, I have a team that I play on, like, in the fall. I got, in the men's league, I play. I'm not sure if our team's playing together or not. Steve Stefani is going to have to let me know about that. Terry Miller and the boys. I mean, and then usually, like, me and Buckshot and Dustin and them guys. We always have Team Jeremiah and Mike, which are going to be coming later for the ring game, so don't forget about that.
Right.
I'm not sure exactly what the whole thing is for me personally,
right. Well,
so we're going to have to
don't
figure that
forget,
out.
I've been talking to her, and maybe if somebody's seeing her, Buckshot said you did ask him. If anybody can, tell Teresa to get a hold of us and let us know if she's found any more about that. Because and don't forget, if you are still interested in playing in the Rock Falls Summer ACS League, as far as I know, they did change it. They're going to play on Tuesdays, and if you want to get signed up, and you don't want to wait until she announces a meeting or whatever, don't forget you can go to buddisweiser.net, and up at the top you'll see Rock Falls ACS, and you can sign your team up online, and it'll go right over to Teresa, and she'll have your information. So don't fall behind on it. If you want to get a team in, get it taken care of now while you can. That way because that way you stay a step ahead of the game. Before I forget, I want to give a big shout out to Renee over at the Cooler. That guy has been doing all kinds of really cool stuff throughout all this, and not only for himself and his bar, but he has been right there beside TNT, kind of he has been sharing all the other local bars stuff. He's been quite the cheerleader for everybody in Rock Falls and all the areas, and sharing all their stuff and explaining what, letting people know what everybody's doing. And I think that's really awesome. That's something that I've always admired about certain, places, people like that too many people think it's so competitive. And it's, there's a sense of it because, you want to get yours, you want to make yours and stuff like that. But, sometimes it takes a group of places and people like that to do things good.
Well, it takes a situation like this. It takes a situation like what we've been going through. And, these small businesses and stuff like that, if they don't rally together and become one and kind of become, cheerleaders for each other, people aren't going to survive. And
no.
This business isn't going to survive. And we need these places to play pool in. So
right.
we have an interest in it too. And
right.
And if you've ever met Renee down there at the Cooler and his wife Kendra, they're the nicest people you're ever going to meet. I've been going through some rough personal times, and they take time out to me. They're the ones that got me on the boat the other day and took me out on the river, and I had a good time, and it was nice. I hadn't been on the water, and I can't even remember when, probably close to 30 years since I've been out on a nice boat ride, and he hooked me all up. So, he took his own personal time out to make sure that I had some time. That's the kind of people Renee and Kendra are. You got Raul next door to Whiskey Barrel. You couldn't ask for a nicer guy there. And then you got the people up at Froggy's. You can't ask for nicer people. And all these people, they got to bond together. They got to work together. And that way we can get them all back and healthy.
Right. And I love that. I love how together they all are. Because, you could go to another city and find bars that close to each other. They would just be fighting with each other.
Well, I'm not going to say that they're the best of friends by any stretch of the imagination, but they're trying.
Right.
But
they understand the situation.
Yeah, they want to work together. They don't want to see anybody fail. You don't want to see anybody fail in this business. There's enough room for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Every bar's got a little bit of a different twist. You go, like for example, when you go down to the Cooler, you got good. It's more of a rock and roll kind of a bar, and the working band's kind of a bar, and that's kind of, people that they draw, and that's just, that's what they do. Play a lot of darts down there. If you like to play darts.
Oh, yeah. The Cooler is...
Renee's always looking for somebody to play darts with.
I'm hoping one of these days we can go over there and stream a dart match.
Well, if we could...
That would be cool.
I talked to him about it when we was out on the river. I said, Renee, we do pool tournaments mainly, and grudge matches and all that kind of stuff.
That's our thing.
But... we're not necessarily tied to just billiards and billiards only. We would be more than happy to, do dart matches or soft, if you got softball game.
Yeah, I have done a softball match. I wasn't real happy with the way it went down because I was still new to it, but I'm ready now.
Well, right. We got more cameras, we got more action, we got this and that, whatever. But I'm just saying, our main goal is billiards.
Oh yes.
But if you got something else going on, hey. Got the soccer game going on down with kids. You need a streamer. We go down there and stream a soccer game. I don't know anything about it, but
you're right.
You kick the ball and it ends up in the net at some point. We'll figure it out from there.
I will pretend my butt off to know about it. Hey, let's take a quick second, before I forget to say some really good things about some really good people who help us bring these streams to you guys. each week, and they help us bring our fight nights to you and all that. First off, we got A&A Flooring over in Sterling, Illinois. Al and Angie, 815-632-0675 for all your flooring needs. Don't check out aafloors.biz. You can use their on-site tool to check out flooring options. You can walk around your house with your phone or whatever you're looking at, and you can see the different flooring options all over and see what it looks like without having to tear a bunch of stuff up and get all crazy with it. And then
see it before you do it.
See before you do it, absolutely. And then, of course, he's hiding out back here. Is he got a?
We got Bill Lilly from CBM Construction. He's playing his son back here. They're actually gambling. He's gambling against his boy. I ain't figured it out yet, but that's what they're doing.
CBM Construction. Give Bill a call. Bill builds it best. 815-716-6727. You see all of his information about how to get a hold of him, his email, and a link to his Facebook page. He's got a bunch of really cool pictures of the stuff he's doing up there. Give him a call. He'll get back to you. He'll be as straightforward and honest with you, and he'll tell you what's up. Good prices. They're serving all over the place.
Windows, gutters, siding, heating, cooling. I mean, he's kind of a one-stop shop. You know,
Yep.
and he's going to take good care of you. I mean, if it's a job that he's not able to handle or something like that, which I find hard to believe because I haven't found anything that the guy can't work on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying. I mean, he's going to give it to you straight. I mean, if it's something that he can't handle, he certainly isn't going to try to do something that he's not capable of doing. I mean, he specialized for many years just in the heating cooling business, but he knows a lot about construction, builds a lot of stuff, and the guy's really good at what he does. And hey, you know, if you need it, you know, we got the flooring guy, and if the flooring guy, you can get the floors done, and then he can come over and do the walls or whatever.
There you go. Well, I think it'd probably be the other way around. I think he'd build the walls and then do the floor. But either way, bunch of great people.
Well, that's why they're the professionals.
Right,
I don't know.
Exactly. That's why we're doing this and they're doing that. CBM Construction, A&A Flooring. Check them out. Make sure you tell them TNT said they're the stuff. Get a hold of them. So about 10 minutes or so, we're going to give Mark Wilson a call. So if you got questions, make sure that you are hanging out with us in the comments in the chat section between YouTube and Facebook. You can hit us up in either one. You can even message the TNT page if you'd like, and I'll do my best to keep an eye on the phone. So we'll be giving him a call in about 10 minutes. A couple other tournaments I wanted to talk about real quick. At this one I had to. I saw this. Well, first, TNT finally gets to go back and do a tournament.
Lanark. Tell us about that.
We're going out July 11th, Saturday, July 11th. We're going to return to Dave's. We had to cancel the last two that we had scheduled out there. We get to go back. We get to go out and hang out with Jessica and all them cool people. She's got awesome bartenders. They got Dave. They got the Fellows Pizza right there. And oh my, we have this thing about food.
I know we do have things
and
about
I'm gonna tell you what, this guy, Fellows Pizza, not just pizza, some of the other stuff he's got. Oh, good Lord, it's good.
We should do a stream just strictly on our podcast. I don't know what are we doing, a stream, a podcast, whatever we're doing.
It's a podcast where you have to look at us.
But well, yeah. But see, here's an idea. I never thought about this. We should go around someday, just get our cameras, and we'll go to for a week. We'll just go to every single bar. We'll go to the Whiskey Barrel. We'll go to the Cooler. We'll go to Dave's, or go to Landmark. There, we'll go to all these places and we'll just eat dinner and all of them, and then we can post videos of us just eating food.
I actually
in random places.
I kind of had the same thought, except for my thought was maybe take the show on the road and each week go do a show somewhere different and eat while we do the show.
Absolutely. Now, see, here's the thing. Now, see, we're opening. Now, see, that just gave me an idea.
Oh, I sparked something.
Yes. See, here's what now we do this show mainly from the coop, obviously. But however, we want to take this show on the road. So if you, a bar owner out there listening, whether it be the Whiskey Barrel, the Cooler, the Froggies, or Dave's in Lanark, or someplace up in Dixon, wherever, we will bring this show on the road. We'll bring our, as you can see, there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Don't hurt
There's
yourself.
probably 8 or 10 of us in here, or something like that. We'll bring the whole crew, do a live show right from your place. You can hook us up with some dinner, and we'll do the show right there. And,
there you go.
And then we can talk billiards. We can talk about your place, and you can feed us.
It just keeps getting better. So yes, we'll be out in Lanark at Dave's place, July 11th. Excuse me. They're opening up today, and Jesse's so cool. Jessica's so cool. They got a great staff. She's amazing. It's a great family-owned bar. It's been in their family forever. Her dad was a great guy, and when he did business there and took care of things. Tomorrow they have their I think it's called the OSD little thing, and they ride motorcycles through the bar.
Well,
Yes.
That sounds like my kind of place.
Oh man, I haven't seen it, but just when I was up there for the tournament and seeing all the burnout marks that the bikes have done through the bar, I was like, oh, this has got to have been a pretty good party. So if you haven't done that, go check it out on Facebook. Search Dave's Place. It's in Lanark, Illinois. Check that out. It's really cool. So as I was posting that flyer, I was talking to Jesse and I posted that flyer, somebody messaged me and told me about this place called TNT's Roundhouse Saloon in Savannah. And they're having a tournament tomorrow. It's a blind draw. Scotch Doubles blind draw starts at 2. Sign up at 1. $10 per person. $3 green fee. Double elimination. 100% payback. Scotch Doubles. TNT Roadhouse. 939 Chicago Avenue, Savannah, Illinois. Check that out if you're in there.
I can't say that I've ever heard of that, but I guess we'll have to check into that.
If I'm not mistaken, it's a newer place, and it used to be a different place. It used to be what the heck was that? Right, it's right there, right before the bridge. It used to be Charlie's or something like that. I can't think of it. James Brashaw, if you're watching or listening, or somebody to call him and tell him to get a hold of me and let me know.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. I mean, I go to Savannah. I don't just get up there that often.
No, it's when you first go through Savannah, when you're just coming into Savannah, and there's the first bridge right there by now where the Holiday Inn is, or the name it used to be. There was a little bar right on the corner. I think it was like Charlie's or Schroeder's. Thank you, Don. Schroeder's. My wife used to work there, and I couldn't think of the name. She used to work there at one point. So that was a great pool bar. They used to do some really cool stuff there. So anyhow, TNT's Roadhouse Saloon tomorrow, starting at 2:00. Sign up at 1. Blind draw. And then what was we were talking about the other one. The one at Peoria.
Racks on the Rocks.
Racks on the Rock. I was trying to find that.
It's an 8-ball tournament. I'm not sure.
I'm trying to find it.
Start, but it's got to start halfway early, only for the simple reason is I know that they got like 60-some players chomping at the bit to play.
If you are in the Peoria area, get a hold of Josh Stutz. He is starting up a youth billiards program over at Racks on the Rock.
Very important. We need to get the youth into this game.
So if you have some kids that want to play, check that out. Search Racks on the Rocks. Look for Josh. Talk to him about that. And you can find the information I did share it on the TNT page. Let's see, there's the Twisted Roses having their Saturday one. Where is that Racks on the Rock one?
I also know that, and I
there it
somebody
is.
would have to correct me from Clinton if I'm wrong, but I believe that every Sunday is the 10-ball tournament over at Legends in Clinton. So I mean, if you like to play 10-ball. I think it's a $10 entry fee. It might be $15. I'm not sure.
I have that somewhere, and
but I mean, do some checking on that on Legends.
I think Melissa runs that.
I believe you're right, and I know that them guys, I know that's going to be an every Sunday thing over there. And like I said, once again, we talk about food. If you want some great bar food, go over to Legends, play in the pool tournament on a Sunday. You can have a nice meal over there, play in a nice relaxing tournament. I mean, they got plenty of tables. I mean, I'm not. I don't know how many they average on a Sunday. Well, actually, they just had started doing right before the COVID hit.
Right.
And they had to stop.
Yeah, then they had to.
So it's actually, this is just fresh for them to do that on the Sunday. So
if anybody, I believe it is Melissa. If everybody knows Melissa, tell her to get a hold of us so we can talk to her about it. Tracy Kennis tells us the 8-ball tourney starts at 11 o'clock on Saturday at Racks in Peoria. Thank you, Tracy. I hope you're feeling better. I know you're on a long road to recovery. I'm hoping you're feeling better. As I know Sam's missing having you around, and I'm assuming Sam's playing, so good luck to Sam. We're getting ready to call Mr. Wilson here. I'm going to bring that up, and we're going to call him. Let me find my buttons.
And for those of you that have any questions, make sure you post them up now, because I mean it's not very often we get somebody of this caliber of a guest on the TNT show. I mean, hopefully we continue to get some really special guests on here. But Mark Wilson, I mean. That's about as big as it gets. I mean, with the exception of maybe getting one of the big head honcho players like a Shane Van Boning on or a Sky Woodward. Speaking of Sky Woodward, he just won one of his Qs.
Oh, thank you, Sky. You were so awesome. That's so cool. I just got. You have to check it out. Search Chalk It Up with Sky Woodward on Facebook. Really cool group.
I watch a lot of Sky's videos. He's always posting certain things. He's just a funny, easygoing guy.
Yeah, he's everything you want the sport to be.
Sure, absolutely.
He's he loves the game. He's got just the right enough emotion to the game when he's playing, and he is. He's just a straightforward, just a nice guy. And him and Ashley do that website together, do that group together, and it's so cool.
Sky looks like he'd be a lot of fun to hang out with.
Oh, I bet you he is. And that his self right now he's rocking. He's rocking the mullet. So yeah, it's okay. So we're gonna give Mr. Wilson a call right now. You ready?
No, I'm ready.
You ready?
There we
I gotta
go.
find my paper here. We're gonna call Mr. Wilson right now.
You got all the important questions, and hopefully, if anybody's got any questions, they post them up here for us.
All right. Let's see if hopefully he remembers that we're calling and answers us. They're freaking me out over here. I don't know what they're doing. You could see the feet moving around. It's our in studio. Oh, it sounds like we might have to call him back here.
What an answering machine, huh?
Yeah, that was. We'll see if he calls us back.
Well, he does know that we are supposed to be calling him around 8
Yes,
o'clock.
I did message. I will message him again just to.
But while we're waiting for that, though, I mean, like I said, you know, you got the Sunday tournament over at Legends. So if you're looking for action over there, I mean, there's plenty of action going on Sundays. You got Racks on the Rockets now. It's got stuff going on. I mean, places are starting to open back up. Our leagues are just right around the corner, folks. I mean, all you got to do is just hang tight with us here. I would imagine within the next, like I said, a couple of weeks, we're going to be up and rolling.
We're planning on starting Rock Falls on the 12th, so that is our plan.
Why I'm thinking about it, and we're killing a little bit of time here. I know that we had a little action here at the Pigeon Coop the other night. I know that Sam Maggio and Rick Carrillo collided. I don't know exactly. I know Carrillo gave him a little bit of weight, and I think they might have broke even. I'm not sure what exactly happened down, but that match took place. But I am going to be getting back into, now that everything's starting to move along, what we would like to see is some of these matches, these grudge matches that are being taking place. Let's move them out. Let's get some grudge matches over at Legends, or maybe at the Cooler, or at the Whiskey Barrel, or some of the bars up in Dixon. We go to Corner Spot. We go to wherever. We got a lot of.
Look at the crowd. We have a crazy audience in here. Sorry.
Yeah, we got it live.
All right. I just spoke to him, message, and he. It almost sounds like we might have been trying to call him at the same time. I will let him know, Tracy. We're actually calling him right now. We're calling him right back right now. So let's see. It almost sounded like we might have been calling him at the same time he was calling. He was trying to call us.
Oh.
Maybe he misunderstood.
Good evening, Greg.
Hey, Mark. How you doing? Greg from TNT Off the Rail, and this is my buddy Hollywood over here.
Nice to meet you, Mark.
Can you hear us okay? We lost him.
Nope. We're just having all sorts of technical difficulties today.
Oh, goodness. Let's try this again.
Hey, third time is a charm.
Yeah. Let's try this again. Let's see if this works. As long as we have one problem during a day.
It's usually one.
I truly do love living in the country, but it does have some drawbacks.
Especially, I don't know if your weather is anything like it is up here right now, but it's been a little crazy.
Oh, no, it's very nice here. And I'm sitting on my back step right now. At this time of the evening, it's where I get my very best reception, but do not be brokenhearted if it cuts off, because it's just.
Hey, we'll do our best here, Mark. I'm Larry. I work with Greg a lot here. We're doing the stream, and it's really, for me. I mean, it's an honor to have you on the show. We appreciate you coming out here, and we got some questions that some of the people are already starting to get ready to ask. So you ready for the barrage of questions?
Yeah, so it's Greg and Larry.
Yep,
that's correct, sir.
I'm glad to be here, glad to be part of it. So, and absolutely, I welcome anything.
We could not be more excited, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, and
well, I feel the same way.
Awesome, and again, a big thanks to I know you talked to Mr. Fridley, and he helped set this up for us, and so we appreciate that. He's a big fan of yours as well. And before we get too far, I have to let you know, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the gentleman. He's an upcoming young kid playing his heart out. Represents McDermott, Sam Rhino Henderson. He says he dreams of playing you one day. So, well,
yeah,
we I have a ton of questions, and they're going to kind of come out of nowhere. The first thing I always ask people, and with you, it's if I'm not mistaken, you kind of got not necessarily a late start, but you didn't start very young in pool, did you?
No, I think one of the things that's different about me than most pool players is that I came from a background of athletics, and so I played every sport through high school. And then when I got to college, I was only good enough for baseball. And I saw this pool table, and it always intrigued me. But I thought, how hard can this be? I'll spend 2 or 3 weeks, I'll master this. And anyway, so I'm still trying here, trying to master that. So
Well,
I misestimated.
so you didn't start till what? Would that be like in your early teens then, or later teens, I should say?
18,
Yeah. Okay.
18,
Yeah.
18.
That is kind of. I
First year
mean,
of college.
for most of your really good pool players. I mean, you hear of stories of them carrying around a milk carton or a milk crate to set on it so they get tall enough to be able to stand up to hit balls going across the table.
Right, right. Well, and that's one way to learn it, but then there's another way that I randomly landed with Jerry Bryson, and I didn't even know there was such a thing as a pool lesson at the time. And he looked me all over, and a lot of people already know, but I was hopeful because I'm 18 and my ego is fragile. I'm hoping he's saying, "Hey, you're pretty good or not bad." And he says, "How long have you been playing?" And I said, "Oh, every day for 3 months." And he said, "Okay, I see what you got here." He says, "I want you to take 2 weeks off, and then when you come back, I want you to think about quitting altogether." And it was the most scathing thing. Here, we're 47 years past that, but I remember the exact words. And it was to get my attention that what I thought I knew, I didn't know at all, which I completely accept. I didn't have a big ego about it, but it was a bit disappointing to hear that. So then we started over from scratch. And if it hadn't been for that chance encounter 200 miles north of Moline up in Madison, Wisconsin, I would not be talking to you today. I would have long ago give up pool.
Well, that's a very great story. Last week, I don't know if you've ever caught any of our episodes, but last week we had Mr. Dallas West on our show, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you've ran cross paths with him a few times. I'm sure, right?
Oh my goodness! When I lived in Madison, which is about 40, maybe 45 miles north of Loves Park and Rockford.
Yeah, we're located in Rock Falls and Sterling, so we're very familiar with that area.
Okay. I used to, as I got better, now this is a few years in, real solid training, I'd scratch up $40 extra that I really shouldn't spend, but I would drive down to Rockford and play Dallas at his pool room. And he would play me for $2 a game, and at which point I had zero chance to win. But if I could win some games, my money would last longer. But I really wanted to see, what does it take to be the best? Who is that guy? And it was cheap enough that even as a kid I could afford it, but it did make you pay attention, and it provided him something. And oh my goodness, the scalding lessons.
Yeah, he was telling us last week that he used to like to keep gentlemen like yourself on the hook. Gotta let them win a little bit, but just enough to keep them around, to keep some money in his back pocket too.
Well, yeah, he never let you win. That was out.
He would tell us that too.
Oh yeah, and but he was such a. I can't even say enough good words about Dallas West, and a lot of people don't know him. But when it comes down to honor, integrity, and respect and appreciation of the sport, he's top of the list. And a lot of people don't know this. He ran 400 balls 2 different times in his life. I mean, that's no joke, And he grew up as a child playing pool in State and Madison, and that was back in the heyday when Mosconi came through and was still in his competitive prime, and Dallas as a child saw this, and knew, and then there was a lot of guys in Rockford that could actually give Mosconi a real tussle. And so Dallas grew up around those guys. So he was around great players, and then he ended up being the best. And one time I was at State in Madison, and I said to the house man who'd made a whole career out of being in that pool room, it was a fabulous place, maybe 20-some tables.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I bet you've seen Dallas run 100 balls, because he was talking about Dallas since a kid. I bet you've seen him run 100 balls a lot of times, huh? And the guy looked at me, and he paused, and he says, well, I've seen him run 100 balls on every one of these tables in here. And then he hesitated a little bit more, and he goes, seen him run 200 on half of them. And I have no doubt, no exaggeration, I'm sure he was telling me just exactly the way it was.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, in your Mosconi Cup days when you were playing, Didn't you and Dallas play on the same team too?
First 2 years.
First,
yeah.
that's what I thought. I mean, we didn't get a chance to ask him about that last week, and I meant to, and it kind of slipped my mind. But
we touched on it. But
yeah, we touched on it just slightly. And the thing about it is it's just amazing that all the stories that he had and stuff like that. It's just, I mean, pool's his life. I mean, that's all he's known for.
And his recollection of it was amazing. Yeah. I mean, it was he was painting some pictures like it was like you were sitting there with him. So,
oh yeah,
you played with you played with Dallas. You've played obviously in the Mosconi Cup. You've played with a ton of people because there were a bunch of other great people on those teams you played with, and you've been playing. You started playing as a professional. You started playing professionally mid 70s, if I'm not mistaken, correctly?
Yep. Yeah, when I was 20. So that would have been, let's see. When would that have been?
Sorry for making you math.
I guess 1975. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Now you mentioned you were kind of first year in college when you first started kind of playing pool. And you said you kind of came about it, saw a table and was something. Was there somebody at the time before Dallas or something that you kind of set a goal to be or as an example that you were trying to get to?
A real interesting path. For whatever reason, well, I think around the Quad Cities, it's a factory town. I'm from Moline originally.
Mm-hmm.
So my friends, you could go to Iowa and drink legally when you're 18, but drinking really wasn't my passion. I'd go along with my buddies and we'd have a couple beers, but it was kind of boring to me. I really didn't enjoy the taste of it. I've always preferred chocolate milk, and it was just one of these things where I'd end up on the bar table playing a game that I've never really played at all, although I've seen it and probably at somebody's house played a couple times. And they make you play $1 or $2 a game, but the people that I was playing against were barely any better than me, and so I thought, well, this is really fun. I really love the colors and the challenge, and I saw kind of an artistry and a beauty in it that maybe others didn't initially see, and so I would end up playing pool all the time. And then I wanted to get better, and then I started going to 9-foot tables in the pool room. And then at that point, then I randomly, my first summer of college, ran into Jerry Bryces on a work outing. And then I started commuting up there. But this was kind of a funny thing. I had taken a lesson from Jerry, and I practiced it all day long, and he'd helped me even beyond the lesson. And he finally kicked me out of his pool room that night. And when you'd look at me, you'd say, well, he's not any bit better at all. And it would be true, but Jerry was the first guy that ever gave me proper direction. And so I understood his words. I just couldn't do it yet, but it was the first guy that really understood the logic and the science. So then I go home and I'm practicing. My friends would say, hey, come on. We're going out tonight. We'll get some beer and some girls. And I go, I think I'm just going to go to the pool room. And I knew this was going to be a problem, so I tried to smooth it past them. And they go, oh, come on. What the hell? Why do you go to that nasty pool room? Come on. It used to be fun. What's going on here? And I knew it was going to be problems. So I go, well, look, we never get girls, or I would go with. But we just ended up, that would be the one thing I would have skipped out on pool for. And so then but it started the separation of me and my high school buddies because they couldn't relate to what I saw. And then they didn't respect it or appreciate pool. And my mom and dad didn't either. And I always promised myself when I was 18, I'm never going to contribute anything negative to pool because it's already been so damaged. And both of my parents had supported every sport prior, so I thought, you know what, they don't get it, but someday they will, and it's such a cool thing. And so I've lived my life in pool with that integrity intact, I would say.
And I have to say, you've done a wonderful job there. And let's say, and since you kind of touched on that subject about, people's outlook on pool and stuff like that. Some people still have that look of pool where it's an old dirty pool room and there's nasty gambling going on and all the tricks and hustling and all that kind of stuff. I mean, what do you believe could move pool out of that stigma, so to speak, and get it on the right track?
Well, I think part of the issue, and I've thought about it deeply naturally, is that is pool a game or a sport? And so that's always the question, goes bandied back and forth. If it's something that you do once a week at league night on a dirty bar table, and you didn't practice since last week, but you drank some beers and smoked some cigarettes, and then when you lose, you blame the other guy's handicap not being high enough.
Correct.
Then that's the game of pool. That's the game of pool. And if you train mentally and it's like an athletic endeavor where you focus on it and you're thinking and you've got a fitness level, it's a 9-foot table, and you take it real seriously, then that's the sport of pool. And I could compare it to this. You know, chess and checkers are played on a similar board, but not even close to the same game. And mini golf doesn't appeal to Tiger Woods. You know, so, but yet they might kind of include them, gets painted with the same type of a brush. So
Right.
if you want to change the image of the sport, it absolutely has to start with education, because people do not understand what it is. And so when I had my collegiate billiards program, part of what included you as a team member had nothing to do with your skill set, but the fact that you had to put the sport above yourself. And so nobody gets to be an individual on our team. And so the welfare of the sport, you can never contribute a negative thing to the sport, or that means you're an individual and I don't hate you, but you're no longer a member of the team.
Yep.
And it's that quick. You know, I mean, you got one. I'm telling you right now what's going to happen. So there's not a probation or try to do better or any of that. Either we all chip in and contribute and sacrifice, or I'm going to find somebody else that will.
I don't think you could really say it much better.
No,
than
you
that.
can't say it any better than that. You know, and I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And it's, you know, I'd love to see pool someday. You know, because I think Dallas West, kind of said it best last week. I said he just said, you know, pool is a very, very beautiful game. I mean, it's cheap to play. I mean, it's not expensive like golf and all this other stuff. I mean, you can go out and play pool and get good at the game of pool for, I mean, pennies on the dollar compared to what other activities might cost you. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, and the biggest thing for me is just trying to get the youth back into this game. Is like in our area where we're from, right? We used to have a pool hall in the area, Leisure Time Billiards over in Sterling, and you know it closed up a few years back. And you know, and our biggest thing is what me and Greg have been trying to do is put something together to get the kids in the area. Just put their cell phones down, put the video games down, pick up a pool stick, and start learning to play. You know, that's what we really, really want to see. It not even here. I mean, across the board, across the United States, because you know, pool is a fun game, and I just think a lot of people are missing out on it.
Absolutely.
You know, I completely agree, and always dreamed that someday people are going to discover this. And we did have a boom after the movie, and it was an unprecedented boom in pool. And we all thought that finally people get it, and never realizing that we should have been nurturing at that point. So I'm complicit too for failure, but it had been so bad for so long, and it exploded so big. You know, like just in the Quad Cities. You're familiar with the Quad Cities, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. There was a freestanding building that was built brand new that housed Miller Time Billiards in Moline with
Correct.
32 tables.
Yep.
And a waiting list. Okay. And a waiting list on Friday and Saturday night. Then you walk 2 blocks down to Hanson's, and there was probably another 17 or 20 tables there with a waiting list on Friday and Saturday night. Then you go across the river, and what's now called Sharky's was Miller Time. That was 32 tables.
Yep.
Okay, and there was another Hanson's over there that had nearly 20 tables. And they all, I mean, it was and there was other smaller pool rooms. I mean, and so we just thought, well, it'll never go back like it was. But that was pre-cell phones. That was pre-internet. That was pre-DVD movies for $1 at the grocery store. There was no casinos. You didn't have satellite TV with 150 channels. You know, so pool was a big deal, but we didn't know. And so now looking back, we need to establish the culture with kids, but without education, if you don't know what you're doing, it's boring. It's not that much fun. But if you struggle a little bit, that's okay. But if you at least have some direction, and I try to do that as best I can, as much as I can, as often as reachable, and try to expand my footprint. And so, but it really comes down to sacrifice and contribution, and who's willing to do it? Not very many.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you 100%. You know, and I've followed you quite a bit. I know I've watched a lot of pool streams with you. You're kind of all over the map. I mean, you get everywhere. And I know that you got I know that you have a book out that we're going to ask you about here in a minute. I know there's some questions about that because we have some people that have been looking for your book but can't seem to find it.
Yeah.
And I know that you have instructional videos out and stuff like that. And it's just it's great what you're trying to do for the sport. You have a huge footprint in this sport. In my opinion, I definitely value your opinion on anything.
Well, I mean, it's sincere. I lived it. It's not like I've never been an ego-driven guy. And I made peace when I was 18, and I said, you know what? I'm going to devote myself to pool. And probably my biggest downfall in life is I'm so in love with the sport. I always look at anybody else and assume that they would feel like I do about it. And then I don't understand. Why would you not dedicate your whole life to pool? What more would you want? I mean, but anyway, I sometimes get disappointed. So I'm kind of, at this point in life, I've kind of figured out that not everybody does feel the way I do.
Yeah, but, and I have to agree with you there.
Yeah, and that's when you realize, wow, I'm kind of into this because I don't like that guy so much because he doesn't care for it as much as I do.
Yeah, exactly. Like any of the girls on my billiards team, if you want to date them, you have to be able to run 3 racks. So I couldn't possibly approve of
that. I like that.
I'm going to have to start practicing more.
Yeah.
So that leads me into you started that in you started as a coach of that in 2012, and you actually started that program at Lindenwood?
Yes.
Yeah. And now. And it started. From what I read, it started off a little rough, but then you guys really made a big comeback. And there's a couple parts of the question, and I'm sure you'll probably answer a lot of them before I even ask. But just to start it off, how did it come about to start it at college? And were you the first? Was Lindenwood the first place that did it, or was it because there were other places? And how did you come about having so many matches? Because I saw you guys established quite the record.
Yeah, the way it came about is I was giving Jeanette Lee some instruction over in Indianapolis, and Lindenwood called my cell phone and said, "Hey, we're thinking about starting up a billiards program, and your name keeps popping up. Would you come and talk to us about it?" And it was sort of shocking because I don't usually get phone calls like that. And I said, "Oh, I don't know. I'm pretty busy. And I can't imagine what that means, a collegiate billiards program. I never heard of such a thing." So I said, "Well, let me get back to you." And we were having lunch, and I was thinking about it. And I told Jeanette that I'm just going to tell them no because I'm so busy. And plus, Lindenwood's almost an hour's drive for me. And it's just kind of, and she got real militant about, no, you can't just say no. You got to go over there and talk to him. At least go talk to him. And I said, "Okay, little sister, lighten up," and so I did. I went over there, and I went there to say no. And I mainly just went there because she insisted that I go. I was prepared to just say no. I was plenty busy. And they said, we want to start a billiards program, and it's going to replace some of the things that we previously had. And the budget's been approved by the president. And we're prepared to scholarship your athletes, and we're prepared to build a proper facility if you can prove that you actually have a program. And we think you're the right guy to lead it. And if we installed you as the leader of this program, what would be, what direction would you want to take? And that's when I came up with, I would insist on character. If personal character over winning or any of that, then I want you to get an education. And really, when they said scholarship to kids, that was the tipping point for me to say, well, really, I've never heard of such a thing. And I was thinking what that could do for the sport image-wise and bring about, growth and change and better view of the whole thing. So I took it on that way and never had any inkling of how to do it. And so I started studying coaches, famous coaches of football and basketball, Bear Bryant, John Wooden, Bo Schembechler, and their main mandate was that it was a long-term sustainable winning program is contingent upon the quality and character of your athletes. And that dovetailed with what I always wanted to do for the sport anyway, because my mom and dad didn't like it. So then, I thought, well, I'm going to install that. That's what I'm going to do. And if we lose, it's okay. There's really my job is not contingent upon us winning. It's a contingent upon me getting kids to come to school there. And that's the whole reason Lindenwood wanted it, was for their own selfish purposes. But it was worth it to me because it was going to be good for the sport. And as it turned out, the scholarships were really basically just partial scholarships, so it was basically a discount. But some kids did get a pretty good deal. I mean, half price, and they're going to go, it's kind of one of these things where if you're going to go to college anyway and you love pool and you're going to spend the money, we are going to have a great program. And we truly did. We had, oh my goodness, I can't even tell you, all the Moscone Cup teams I captained, the players hung around there all the time. We had many other. Allison Fisher comes every year. Jerry Bryces comes and teaches every year. Jeanette's been there umpteen times. My goodness, I mean, Skylar, Justin Bergman, they're there often. So when you're on that college team, there's no other college program. You're going to get to have another team come captained by Nick Varner and play it, but they're all personal relationships. And so, and then we had some great experiences. It was a wonderful thing. And getting to the demise of the program, it really had nothing to do with billiards. We were profitable for the school all 8 years. We were under budget all 8 years. We're the number one team out of 50 sports in grade. And we win the national championship, and we don't have any character issues. But it didn't generate that much, positive. It was probably, $60,000, $80,000 a year for Lindenwood, and they had some shortcoming, corporate greed, I would say, and made some terrible decisions where they lost $20 or $30 million. So the little bit that we generated wasn't anywhere near enough to offset what they squandered during good times.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
Yeah.
But
the good news, here's the good news. The sum total is, one, we proved that you could rebuild this sport with the right people, because we got other programs going, but they're just fledgling. They're just clubs. They're only student driven.
Right.
But we had 9 schools playing in a league. And then can you imagine last year, and I didn't pursue this because I didn't have the budget or the wherewithal, but listen to this litany of schools that called me about this. Okay. Akron, Ohio, University of Akron, North Texas, University of Texas, Mississippi State, Kansas, Missouri, Missouri Southwest, and Harvard, MIT, and somehow 2 schools in Canada. I mean, I don't even know how. I said, look, I mean, I'd love to, but we couldn't possibly cross the border. I mean, we're not that big, I mean, I would love to.
Pool is huge in Canada.
Is, when I went to all those schools, we had in our actual conference, we had Illinois, Indiana, Purdue, Wisconsin, and then we had Wisconsin Whitewater, Millikan, SIUE, which is Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville, Missouri S&T, which is a pretty esteemed engineering school, and somebody else. I'm not thinking clearly. Oh, Lindenwood, I guess. So we had 9 schools. I went to all those schools and gave clinics there just to help their team, because they have no coaches and no support, and try to give them trinkets. I got shirts for them and everything, just so we could start a fledgling program. And it could have grown, but there was absolutely no support for it. It was just me doing it on my own, and it's all good. I'm not complaining about that, but it would not take that much. And then with what we did with the Moscone Cup team too, you could regrow the sport if anyone was interested. But that's the problem, is finding someone, because it is going to require sacrifice and contribution, and that's all it takes.
Right, and it's going to take somebody taking the kind of interest you did in the youth of the sport, because I mean it is for lack of a better term, I mean, they are the future. So I mean, it's going to take somebody to want to put in that kind of time, and that program.
Right.
They're not teams anymore, like you said. They're all student-driven groups. So that program still is going at Lindenwood, just in a slightly different direction now, right?
Sadly, they said those words. There's Taylor Hansen's there, Robbie Patrick, and J.P. Portwood. They all graduate this year. There's no incoming. We used to average 27 kids a year from not all over the U.S., but all over the world. Singapore, China, Spain, Italy, Germany, Nepal. I've had 2 from Nepal. And so Denmark, our last national champion was from Denmark. So it's just there's not going to be, the only reason they came there was for billiards. They didn't come there for Lindenwood. They came there because there was a good billiards program.
Right.
So as a club, and then there's no one to drive the thing. Those kids don't have time to organize matches, and they don't really know how to organize or run a practice, nor do they want to be that lead person. They have to be responsible to do it.
Right, because that's why they got in the program, because there was somebody there to do it for them. Yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense. So we're talking to Mark Wilson. We're starting to get some questions in the comments, so we're going to kind of jump back and forth between us driving you crazy with our questions, and we've got a couple people that have asked. So I'm going to pass a couple along before they get lost in my shuffle here. Nate Kennis actually he works a junior program here in the Quad Cities. He's asking if you have heard anything about the BEF letting kids that turned 18 this year, that was going to be their last year of eligibility, if they're going to let them play next year because of everything that was going on.
There was rumor to that effect, but it's third-handed hearsay for me. So that's as much as I know.
Okay. And excuse me, Jim Fridley says wants to know what you and Varner talk about when you give him lessons.
I don't give Nick any lessons. Oh my goodness, he's so much fun though. He's kind of he's a little bit of a different generation than I am. Yet I knew the guys that he when he was young man, he played guys in their peak form. I'm talking about guys like Lassiter and Irving Crane. I think even Jimmy Karras was still pretty active. And then, much of the Ronnie Allens and stuff, where when I came on the scene, they were a little bit on the down half of their career, and so they weren't quite as prolific. You could see they're still quite good. But anyway, Nick was the kid, and so he will talk to me sometimes, and he'll start telling me things, and maybe in 2 hours' time, I'll ask 3 questions, and then the rest of the time I'll say, yeah, all right. And then at the end of 2 hours, he'll go like this. He'll go, man, thanks for reminiscing with me, Mark. That was great. But the reason he relates to me is that I at least know the people. I did meet all the people that he's talking about, where most people will not know who he's really talking about. So he can't go back and really get the flavor of it. And then I do have some follow-up questions because I kind of knew them, and some of the stories are fantastic, and he's so much fun. And we do a lot of clinics together today, and I always chide him about, he's in the Billiards Hall of Fame, and I say, Nick, the only disappointment I ever had with you was that when you gave that induction speech, you failed to ever mention me. And when you think back about how many times you beat me along the way, I'm surely responsible a little bit for you being in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he loves it. And then always when we have a clinic, I'll say, hey, everybody, thanks for coming to the Play Great Pool Clinic. I hope you paid your babysitter. We're going to be here a good while. And I want you to welcome my Hall of Famer here, Nick Varner, and they all clap. And then I'll say, I never really did the math on this, Nick. Tell me, how many world championships you get? And he said, I won 8 world championships. And so then I look at the crowd and I go, all right, everybody. So between the two of us, we have 8 world championships right here. And it kind of puts them at ease that maybe I don't have a major ego here.
Well, because you're no slouch. You obviously you had some great accomplishments in your career. You played for quite a while, and you were ranked the top 25 at one point. You were 5-time Wisconsin champion, Wisconsin state champion. And of course all the knowledge you've passed along to some of the greats in the sport. You're definitely not a slouch.
Yeah, part of the passing along the knowledge was one, I got hooked up with Jerry Bryce, who's my mentor, and then the next step was Sailor Racine. Nobody knows his real name, but I do. Frank Stellman, and Willie Mosconi considered him a peer, and he kind of took me under his wing when I had no calling for his attention. And then Steve Davis in England and Efren Reyes in the Philippines. We've spent months together. Jeff Carter up in Beloit, Wisconsin. He's living outside of there now, and on and on and on. Many people. And sometimes I got things that really helped, and maybe I've put some of it together, but I owe it to them to pass it on. They shared with me, whether it was knowingly or unknowingly, but I always respect and appreciate it. And I remember I would give anything in the world to have someone take me under their wing and help me. So I would like to help others too, and that's kind of the direction my whole life pursued with pool is that I want to pay back and give back, and I want to see it grow, and I want people to respect it, and so that my mom and dad know that this is truly a great thing.
And you're talking about, lessons and all that kind of stuff. And now I know that you do a lot of coaching with a lot of players. And if I'm not mistaken, I still think that you still do lessons with Allison Fisher quite a bit, don't you? Or now and then, anyways.
Oh yeah, she comes usually about a week a year, and she's not as active as she once was, and she still plays fantastic.
Oh,
but she's also gotten a little sloppy and Americanized, so sometimes when she comes over here, it's kind of a kick in the butt, and then she knows.
Well, hey, I always
and then naturally, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm listening.
I'm just saying we share the same philosophies about the sport, about having a simple and compact swing. Why we want the most efficient swing as possible to aid consistency. So it doesn't mean you have to do it that way. It just means it's simpler, and which simple doesn't mean easy, but it means that your consistency rate is much easier to maintain, especially if you're not training as much, So, but she's such a sweet gal too. She's so much fun. I just adore her.
It's so fun. It's a lot of fun to watch her play, and I always tell everybody that if you want to watch somebody with probably what I believe to be some of the best fundamentals in the sport, if you want to watch somebody play, just put on a tape of Allison Fisher playing pool and watch how her footwork is. I mean, she just approaches every shot the same. She's always staying down on the ball. You never see her lift her head up till the ball's in the pocket. I mean, she just got perfect fundamentals, in my opinion.
You couldn't hardly find anyone that you'd say is more of the textbook picture. And she's kind of funny. One time I was talking to her, and this fan came up, and he said, "Oh, Miss Fisher, one question, please. How do you get to be so consistent? I mean, even the way you set up to the table." And she says, "Well, I'll tell you, when I was a young girl, I was trying to learn snooker, and I always felt my stance was a little bit off. I didn't like my stance, and my dad had put a snooker table in our house, and so I was trying to play, and so I went down to the table and I set a ball up, and I just started tinkering with my stance, and where I found really where I liked to be, where I really thought was right, and allowed the cue to travel freely. So then when I got done, I took a permanent marker and outlined my feet on the carpet next to the table so that I knew exactly how to stand." And she said her parents were so pissed about her feet being drawn on the carpet, but every day she'd get out of bed and go stand like that. So now it doesn't matter if you see her in Miami or Denver. It doesn't matter. It's the exact same position, and that's her. And think about how privileged and honored I am to have her come and allow me to work with her game. Her actual stroke, even, you couldn't get a higher accolade than that.
Right. I always, and to let people know, I mean, you still are giving lessons. I mean, you can sign up and come and see Mark Wilson down St. Louis area and get lessons.
You just actually finished a 2-day clinic just recently, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you?
Yeah, Huntsville, Alabama. We go there a couple times a year. We're going the middle of July. Nick and I are going to Port St. Lucie, Florida, and then on the way back, we're going to Sanford, which is just north of Orlando, and then in between, we got a 1-day thing over at Capone's in Spring Hill, Florida. We're kind of making a little southern tour, and that came about kind of fluky. The guy says, "Hey, man, I really want to get a lesson with you." And I said, "Oh, okay." And he says, "I'm in Port St. Lucie." I said, "Well, I can't come down there for just one lesson. I mean, I would love to do it, but that's too far." So I casually said, "If you had a small group, I could come," which he called me the next day, and he said, "I got 5 people." And I said, "Well, I really have to have 10. And then I hung up. And then I got to thinking, well, 10 won't even do it. I have to have 20, So it's a long way down there,
Yeah.
And then we try to make it very affordable so that by the time you pay your expenses and everything, there's hardly anything left, which I don't do it for that exact reason, because I really want to grow the sport, but it is a long way down there. So I maybe have to revise some of my thinking here a little bit.
I certainly understand that. And then another question is real quick. I mean, with the lessons and all that stuff, do you still have a way to purchase tapes online or anything that we can tell the people out there that if you want an instructional video from Mark Wilson, how does one get something like that?
Truly, I don't have an instructional video, but at the Derby this year, they said, and I've been working 10-hour days broadcasting, and I came down in the morning and he says, "Oh, listen, hey, we need you to fill up an hour. We got a dead hour. go out there and fill up the hour in front of the crowd. And I'm like, well, I mean, doing what, you know? And he says, well, whatever you want. And I said, what am I going to do, Pat? I mean, and he said, no, you know. And I said, well, you like an instructional thing or something? He said, yeah, do that.
Yeah, do that.
And so
I believe I've seen that.
Wasn't
it? Was it on the 10-foot table that you did that on? At the Derby?
Yeah, no, that's why we had the dead hour. Right. Yeah, it was the last day so it was Monday of the 10-foot table.
Yep. That was that 3-part series where you were doing that
exactly
with that your new program on your tablet, and you were videotaping that. You brought a gentleman up, yeah.
Yep, and then so that's on YouTube. That can be found there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jerry Bryson had me help him with his DVD set. But that was not what I chose to do. I didn't want to. I said, Jerry, it's your material. I don't want to horn in on your stuff. I mean, that's your legacy of the sport. And he said, no, I'm a little older. I want you to demonstrate the shots because you do the stroke right. And I want you because you're very organized. And I have to laugh because, wow, you'd have to really be bad, which it is true. I'm more organized than Jerry Bryson. You know?
Is that really a compliment, being called organized? I'm not sure. I've never heard somebody say that and thought, wow, I feel a lot better about myself. But you know, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do want to say to the people though, you know, if you do get a chance to go get on YouTube and go to the Derby Classic and watch it for that one last year, because I watched the whole thing, Mark, and it was. For me, I mean, that's kind of the steps that I've been using to, you know, practice my pool and stuff like that. So if you people out there just listening, go to the Derby Classic, get on YouTube, check that out because it's it's a really good thing that he's doing there. And I don't know if a lot of people have caught it, and you get it for free.
yeah,
exactly. You know, the interesting thing was, and I'm kind of a non-conforming guy, as you probably could figure. Is that the last thing I want to do is go out there and say, all right, try to have a good bridge. Here's the grip. Stand like this, and it has to be like this. And then because it's so trite and banal, and everybody's already done that, you know. So I want fresh, cutting edge material. So when you're talking about the ladies and gentlemen on the backswing and hitting the ball and the timing of it and the proper stance, what that produces and why, and how you go about acquiring it. Those type things that are things I've pondered greatly, and sometimes I've kind of it. None of it's my own genius. It's just that I did it for a long time, so I'm pretty good at presenting the material. And so I could possibly pull that off for an hour just extemporaneously because I do it almost every day. So, but if you said go out there and, you know, recite the Gettysburg Address, I'd lock up, you know, terrible. You know, so.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you on that one.
I got Gettysburg Address. That's all I got for you. I'm sorry. So, like I said, we're bouncing around between stuff with this, and again, we're talking with Mark Wilson. Tracy Kennis asked, and she's actually Nate's wife, and Sam, we mentioned him a little bit earlier. She asked if you have any advice for junior players, and she kind of specifies, because Sam is an amazing, if you get a second, Mark, when we get done with this, you want to go on Facebook and search Sam Rhino Henderson. He's a great kid. But anyhow, Sam's got big dreams of being a pro, and he's well on his way. He's been doing some amazing things. But she's asking if you have any advice for them, because a lot of people seem to be really quick to shut him down, to say, you know, basically kind of tell him, oh, you need to focus on other things instead of pool, and you know, be more focused on real life or something like that. And so she wants to know what kind of advice would you have for him, and maybe even her, to help guide him along the way to, you know, keep his eye on the prize.
Yep. But when I started and I said that I was going to become a professional player, there was no such thing as the APA. But at that point in my career, I'd improved quite a little bit, and that was probably about like what would be the equivalent of an APA 3 today. And people say, "Are you crazy? What are you thinking?" And on top of that, there was only 2 tournaments a year. There was the U.S. Open Straight Pool in Chicago that if you haven't previously won, you have to win a qualifier. And the guys that traveled to try to win the qualifiers was Lou Butera and Nick Varner and Jim Rimpey and Mike Siegel and Dallas West. You know, I mean, and so very accomplished players. And I'm a relative, absolute horrible. I'd improved. I used to be sub-horrible, and now I'm up to horrible. And so people would say, "Are you nuts? What are you thinking?" And truly, I didn't know. I couldn't answer you how I intend to make a living. But what I could tell you was, I'm for sure going to do this. It doesn't matter, and I'll get another job and save up a couple thousand more dollars. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it again. And so, but don't ask me why. It was never financial for me. I never thought, well, I'll make some money and do this. No, it was always, God, I love this. I want to actually become good at it. And there's just, it was never a thing where it wasn't like I didn't have any other career paths possible, but it was just like the most magnetic thing. I just fell in love with it and never looked back. So I would not be deterred, and I would not, if I was Sam, I would for sure he needs good guidance, because there's so many negative people out there that say, oh, don't do it. You'll never make a living. You'll never be anything. But these are also people that didn't amount to much themselves. And they're certainly not qualified to counsel someone that truly does have the passion and the heart for it. Now, that being said, you have to make a deal. You got to make a deal with the devil. And the deal is, you're not going to be wealthy. I don't care how good you play. And you're not going to drive new cars. You're not going to have a retirement and a pension. Okay, that's the deal. And so I chose to never have kids because I made that deal. And so, but if you're okay with that, and then you're expected to be a leader of the sport, you have to hold yourself accountable. And that's what nobody else does. They're not responsible. They didn't make excuses. They lie to themselves, and cheating is fine and all that. You have to rise way above that. So you have to rise way above those in your circle that are, you're always going to have the negativity. And truly, when the people told me I was not going to make it, they did understand that it would be a miracle that if Mark ever really pursued pool and made anything of himself, because I couldn't beat them, and they were not driven for it, and they were just experienced players, but they were not good. It was just, they were way better than me, but hell, I just come out of being sub-horrible. So,
right.
I liked that.
That didn't really matter, and so always when I went to tournaments, when I was at skill level, I would pray that I would draw Dallas West or George Kowalski or George Brunt or Tommy Spencer or Jim Mattia when he was around. And so whoever the best won, because I know it's possible I might lose to anybody, but I really want to lose to the best guy because I want to see what the heck does it take here. What is it I'm not doing? I don't get this. And back then, it was so much harder because you might say, hey, tonight there's going to be a match over in Bloomington, Illinois. It's 150 miles from here, and it's supposed to be two of these great players. Buddy Hall's playing somebody. And you drive over there, and there's not even a match, and then, but if there was a match, then you'd have to try to remember what you saw and then come back home and try to practice. But how was that again? Where now you got it right on your cell phone. You can look up a match and see how the balls were and set them back up on your table and work. I mean, there's so much more efficient ways to do it. I was telling somebody the other day, why is it that the lesson comes after the test? Why is that? Now I would know how so much better. I would know so much. I wish I was 20. I wish I was Sam. I'd give anything to be Sam right now.
Oh, I know because it's just there's such a flood of information now to play pool. I'm almost 50 years old now, and I've always played pool, but I didn't really start taking this game seriously until the last few years of my life, and I mean. It's amazing how much my game improved just by getting on YouTube and watching players play and hit shots and come out in my garage versus where we're at now. And I have my own pool table and stuff out here. And I just would come out and just practice a shot. I might have to hit it 100 times to finally make it until I figured out exactly what they did on TV. and it's helped. It's amazing because back in the day, you didn't have them instructional videos. You didn't have that.
No.
And then you had guys that were, they're gambling and stuff like that. You're learning on the fly.
Right. It's costing you a lot more than you want sometimes to learn something.
Get a little expensive.
Well, I mean, back in my day too, we didn't have as much money, but I'd say proportionally it cost a lot. And back then it was mostly all playing money games. But, sometimes people mistake that too. They think, you shouldn't gamble. Oh, that'd be terrible if you gambled. And I was brought up that way. You don't bet $1, you save $1 for college. And so, but life is a gamble at some point. I mean, you guys drove your car over there to do this. You don't have to make it. You got in an airplane. You bought stock. And then some of you got married. You got married. I mean, you bet half of everything on that one. And it's 50-50.
That's definitely cost you half for sure.
Yeah, so it's just how you approach it. Now, some of the antics that go around it, the drugs, the cheating, all those things, I'm completely opposed. I will never sanction that whatsoever. But Buddy Hall said it best. He goes, "Listen, Mark, you gotta play for something. Pool's not a game meant to be played for nothing, because then you just try a bank shot rather than play safe. It's not a real contest at that point. So it might be, maybe you're just playing for pride. Maybe because I want to beat Greg, or I want to win this trophy, or I want to go to Vegas, or I want to show you I'm the best. Who pays the table? Who buys the Coke, or who buys lunch, or $500 if you're comfortable with that, But any of it, but you got to play with purpose. And going back to Sam, this is another thing. If you ever look up the great General Colin Powell and what he said, and it's so succinct, he says the key to life is to find something that you're good at and something that you love, something that makes you want to get up in the morning. And when you find something that you're good at and that you love, give it all your heart. And somehow I stumbled on that when I was 18. I pretty much say that would summarize. But if you're looking for success, if you're looking for the riches, you're looking in the wrong place. You'll make more money working at the gas station than pool. But if you want something that's going to provide you with a great life of fun that you can look back and you'll have the best stories at the old folks' home of anybody that's real stories that they didn't lie, pool.
Yep, and we learned that last week by talking to Dallas West. There was no question about that. I mean, you could just tell. I mean, that guy, we could have literally probably talked to him for 8 hours.
We could probably still be talking to him right now. But it would have been worth every bit of it.
And such as yourself, you can just tell that you got the passion for it. And there's a lot of I've run across a lot of players out there that are just in the game for the money, so to speak, trying to make a buck here and there, and they don't really have the passion for it. So you can certainly see the difference.
And you could see it. I think you could see that in people's games. I think you can see a person play and kind of tell their motivation. I don't.
Yeah. Look. When you look at the American players that do it for the buck part of it, you surely wouldn't want to stake them against any of the Taiwanese players, would you? Or the Filipino players, would you? Because it's doomed. You have no chance. And so Shane Van Boening, he's a little bit more American-wise. He's a little bit more about the sport. Okay, so I credit him, but there's not many others. Any of the other top American players here, it's just about themselves. But you really can't fault them either. Because when you really look at it, where did they come from? Well, they came from a disadvantaged youth, a single-parent home. The mom didn't have time to teach them morality and values and work ethic. So they found out that they could scuff a little money in pool, and that's what their whole purpose is. They don't love the sport. They're not going to give free lessons, and they're not going to go and try to do something for it. It's just about themselves, but it's not their fault. That's the only way they've ever gotten by. They don't know better.
They were kind of raised that find something that's going to make us get us our money quick, take care of us and things. Go ahead. No, so on that same track, and you mentioned Shane. Some of the other kids. I mean, obviously you still follow pool pretty closely, and because of the people you work with and things like that. With some of the up and comings right now that are playing, some of the younger guys in the game, do you see anything in any of them that you think might be able to bring back the sport, that might inspire some of the younger kids to bring the sport back to where it needs to be?
Mm-hmm.
And who are they? Who are they? Who do you think might be those saviors in disguise?
I think one guy that could help a lot is Chris Robinson out in California. He's a good example, but and naturally, Justin Bergman and Skylar Woodward, but they're not young anymore. Skylar is the same age as the Mosconi Cup, so I always know his age. So he's 26. And I know I'm playing in the first Mosconi Cup. He's getting born, but I was a hard time about it. And but then Bergman, he's a fantastic player, but I don't know, he's not real driven that way. So I think almost even as good as those guys are, and maybe Billy Thorpe would be another good example of a young guy kind of coming up that there's an upside there. And Billy's got a kind of a bright, cheerful attitude, and he's kind of magnetic for young people. So you don't have to look at some old gray-haired guy that says, "Hey, do it right."
I've actually had the chance to see him play in person. It's fun to watch him play. He's really aggressive for sure.
Oh, hyper aggressive, yeah. Yeah. Safety play is absolutely last choice there.
Yeah.
And it's but fun. He has that fun. He's got that kind of a flair to him, and so he and a little swagger, a little confidence. You really got to like that part of it. Makes it fun. And pool needs to be fun. That's the other thing. So many people get all hung up in results. You got to have fun if you want results. I mean, if you're not doing it for passion, just forget this. You're going to be so disappointed with the money part of it. So, but everybody knows that going in. Anybody that tells you, well, I play pool for a living to make money, it would be like tantamount to saying, I'm an idiot. I'm an absolute idiot. Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is pool. But I think if I can reference this to the golf, I mean, pool needs a Tiger Woods of pool. That's what we need. We need a pulverizing figure to step into the United States and play pool and just get everybody, entranced in watching this guy play, and then so it builds the game. Like back when you said when the movie came out and pool started to boom. I mean, to me, I think we just need, one real just player that talks good and can sell himself and get the sponsorship and then start making some money so people can go, oh, hey, you can play pool and make a living at it. Right. Oh, this might be something we're interested in. But how we get there is everybody's got a different opinion.
We have so many like kind of like your list of there's so many young and up and comers that a lot of people a small number of people know a lot of these guys coming up, and they're like it's going to take that one super special guy that's just going to burst out and be like, look, I'm having a ton of fun. And I'm able to bring people in that want to give us a little more money to do this, and we got to find that person. And
the part that you're missing though is that we don't have an infrastructure so that could even happen right now. Mm-hmm. So there's where do you want Sam to play? He has to jump into the U.S. Open and the International Open, right, or go overseas, or maybe the Derby. But that's kind of that's more of a pool festival than it is a proper tournament. And I'm not putting it down. I love the event, but it's more, there's 500 players in there, and there's a lot of guys just buy their way in just to avoid buying a ticket to watch. And so there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not like a real, like you don't say I won the Derby and then get the same accolades as I won the International Open. Right. I won the World Championship. I won the U.S. Open.
And so
there's not even a regional tour.
Right. There's the struggle, like you're saying, with this and now that besides obviously image of pool and things like that seems to be another big thing that comes up quite a bit is the trying to adapt to all the different styles of play. I mean, not styles of play, but I guess the all the different variations of rules. Kind of like trying to go from one league to the next. And it's just, do you think that? Yeah. Do you think that's has a big impact on is it kind of stopping the growth of it, because the fact that you think that might be keeping people out of it is the fact that there's just sometimes so much to try to keep in track. I'm going to go here and they play like this. I'm going to go here and they play the same game, but they play this way. You think that might be kind of keeping people from getting a little more into it than they should?
I think a little tiny bit that's true. Well, it's for sure true, but I don't think that's the one big thing. But for sure, listen, I played pool. What do you think? 47 years. Okay, I've never played 8-ball. I've never played 8-ball twice the same way ever. I mean, think about that. So that's why 9-ball is so much cleaner. It's much easier to, but it's not the greatest pro game at all. But at least you understand the rules to it. Right. 8-ball. I mean, I could go on for 2 hours about variations of that. and then they're always tinkering with the 9-ball rules. Now you got a 3-point rule, and then the fan sitting next to me says, well, why is he not shooting? He made 2 balls on the break. And then I got to say, well, another ball didn't cross. It got kissed and then go across the head string. And so the other guy gets to shoot. I mean, and then the fan doesn't even identify with that. He never played pool like that. Yeah, we need something fan friendly.
Yeah, they get confused because there's, I get exactly what you're saying. I seen that come out in the Derby or whatever. I think it was that when I first noticed it, that they were having the 3-point rule and all that stuff. And then, your average casual watcher of pool or player of pool, all of a sudden he's confused on what's happening in the game because he sees him make a ball and then he doesn't get to shoot, and then everybody's confused of what's going on. It is a little silly.
Yeah. You're really taking it away from the fan, and if you want the sport to grow, you better get some fans in there. Otherwise, we'll just play in Mark's garage here, and there won't be any prize money, but we're going to be able to play any rule you want. I mean, so maybe we should try to sell it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, maybe down the road, maybe somehow, some way, we get a miracle and some big sponsor who comes along and makes one big set of rules, because I think, we need money. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, we need money behind this sport in order to drive people to come play it. So, hopefully someday somewhere along the line, we'll get a big sponsorship, pick it up, and we can all have one big set of rules that we play by. That would be nice.
Everything will align.
What we don't want, here's what we don't want, okay? We don't want a sponsor that gives us money. We want someone to get partnered with us where we generate them money, and then you have a sport. Correct. If we don't generate money, we're just getting another kind handout. We've tried it a million times. Exactly. It does not work. It's not sustainable. So we got to start selling it, and it starts with respect. You don't demand respect. You command respect with the way. If you don't respect it, how can you tell me to respect it?
Yeah, that makes perfectly good sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and it's always it's that same thing. When we're going to get money, where we got people throwing money at the sport, is when we don't need money for the sport. That it's a terrible thing, but that's just the way it is.
Right.
So it's going to require just what I said, sacrifice. We're going to have to go out and get kids. And when you talk about the future of the sport, it's nobody that you've even heard of, because they're in junior high right now. And so whenever we get to them, whenever we start training them at junior high, then we can have a sport. Until then, we just got the same old scoundrels and the bad attitudes and the negativity, and the sponsors are turned off, and the fans don't understand the rules, and we don't have a tour. We don't even have a regional tour. We used to have a pro tour when Nick Varner was in his heyday. One year he won 11 out of 22 tournaments. Nobody's ever did it, and those were big tournaments, not little tournaments. I mean, like now we have 3 of those a year, and they're independent. So we never dreamed back then that was as good as it was ever going to be, and now we look back and we dream if we had it that good.
So, a couple quick questions here. Is we don't want to. It's kind of making me want to be outside. I'm hearing how awesome it sounds on your phone when you're sitting out on your back porch. You've obviously you've given lessons to probably, I'm guessing, thousands and thousands of people. What is probably one of the biggest simple mistakes you see in a person when they come to you to ask you, and mind you, not like a beginner, but like, someone that's played a while, what's one of the simplest mistakes a person normally is making with their game?
Okay. If we had a beginner and we had an intermediate and we had a high-level pro, maybe someone already in the Hall of Fame, the one thing that almost always happens is the stance is sloppy. And so when we start to play poorly, we pull the cue into our body and we don't have enough clearance, but it does give you a little bit more tip control. And so then, the elbow collapse, the head lifting, the wrist twisting, the elbow flying out, and it happens in tandem and in trio and depends upon the power. And then it gets frustrating, and then usually it fosters the wrong, your confidence goes because the inconsistency follows. So I would say stance is one of the main bugaboos. And the other part of it is the most interesting too. If I started with someone that's never played before, that day would be devoted to bridge, grip, stance, and stroke. And so that sounds remedial and beginner and stuff. It's just that when Allison Fisher comes here, we work on bridge, grip, stance, and stroke. That's all we do. It's not like, what do you think? I'm going to show her a secret shot or something here? You think she doesn't know how to aim?
Right, yeah.
But you'll never refine it that good. It's a perishable. It needs to constantly be monitored. And so it's about stroke mechanics, but everybody wants to, I get that phone call once a week. Hey, I'm good on the basics. I just want the fancy stuff, the advanced stuff. And I say, oh, okay. And then I look at them, they can't draw. And I say, oh, so we don't call it basics and fundamentals. I say, hey, we're going to work on your stroke mechanics. That sounds more exotic.
There you go. That sounds pretty advanced.
It's still the same thing.
That made my wallet fall open. So, all right.
Yeah.
We'll bounce. We'll jump over here one more. We'll take one more from our comments section. had a couple guys in here kind of going back and forth talking about they've known you for a while. I guess it sounds like Tommy Hernandez and Jim Fridley have been kind of talking back and forth. Tommy says he just wishes he'd tell the Ball Crusher story, and now I'm intrigued and I want to know what this is.
All right. Tommy, he was a great kid. I loved him. He loved pool. He'd come into Miller time after school, and I'd be in there practicing. And Tommy'd want a little bit of money to play pool on. And I said, I'll tell you what, if you'd help me with my break, if you'd rack for a half hour, I'll give you $5 to play pool on. So he used to do it for me. Every day he'd come in right after school, and that was our break time. And this was kind of a funny thing, but I came in that day, and I was practicing before he got there, and I grabbed a set of balls, and I noticed the 8-ball had a little chip in it, but I didn't think too much of it. I was just playing. And Tommy came in, and he started racking for me. And I started hitting him pretty square and pretty hard, and he was racking, and I was breaking, he was racking. I was really getting my rhythm down, my timing, and getting ready for the weekend. And anyway, I was rolling the balls back down to him to rack again, and he goes, "Hey, you broke the 8-ball. You crushed the 8-ball." And it was laying there in half, and I never told Tommy it was fractured to begin with. But anyway, so people think, and he's like, "Mark broke the 8. Can you believe it?" I mean, so that was the story with that. But it was so true, because it really helps your timing. And if you're going to a big tournament, if you don't practice your break all week, you're at a pretty big disadvantage, because a lot of the guys I play against are my equal or nearly. And the only way to distinguish yourself is to win a rack or two where they don't get to play, and then try to go 50-50 the rest of the games. And you can kind of win matches. And so the money I would pay Tommy, I always made up for on the weekend. I go to a tournament and I get, third, fourth, first, second, fifth, but partly because my break was much better, because I've been working hard on it.
Yeah, definitely break is a big part of the game. I mean, and whether you're playing, it don't matter if you're playing, 1 pocket, 10-ball, 9-ball, 8-ball, whatever you're playing. I mean, break is certainly the most important part of very, very important part of the game anyways.
Well, fair enough. Yeah.
Mark, it's been absolutely amazing talking to you. And like I said, we know you doing clinics, you're still rolling along. Where can people go that are interested in getting signed up for some lessons with you or for your clinics?
You can just contact me through my website, which is Play Great Pool. And there's some fun stories on there, and we're updating it right now. Part of this COVID thing has definitely set me back on some of this stuff, because we had some direction for the website to refresh it, but then I've kind of held off, because I can't say, I'm going to be doing this, and then all of a sudden, no, the state shut that down, because we already got shut down for 3 months. So it will be there, and you can check in on there periodically. There's some fun stuff, or you can go to my Play Great Pool Facebook page, and I interact there. It's Play Great Pool is about my book, and so a guy set it up for me 7 years ago. He goes, "No, you need a Facebook page." And I'm like, I don't really need a Facebook page, but now it's a private page, so you have to request membership. And if you're a legit guy, I include you. But there's little instructional tips. If you scroll back through there, and fun pool stories. We don't allow sales on there. I don't allow people to say, I'm selling the Bridge XXX fridge, like that. It's not nonsensical. Once in a while, I'll put my clinics on there, but that's the extent of it. I don't say do it or don't do it. I'm just saying it's an offer. If you're in Florida and you want to go, and remarkably, you'll have some pretty high-class talent on there. I mean, you got a lot of top pros: Nick Varner, Allison Fisher, Jeanette Lee, on and on and on. I don't know how many top pros. John Schmidt. I mean, on and on and on. Bergman.
Yeah, we had John Schmidt right here in my garage not all that long ago, and watch him hit balls. It's really strange. You watch people, we watch them play on TV, and then you watch these pros, like up close and personal. And you're just like, they just do something different than I'm capable of doing.
Like, how does that work? We've been talking with Mark Wilson.
He's a super fun guy too.
He was a lot of fun. Yeah, he was a lot of fun to be around.
Do you ever do any work with him?
All the time, though. When he was in your garage, me and him had been on the road. He was up there with John French right before that. But I dropped him off, and then we've been doing some clinics and stuff. And then he came back here with me after that. Or let's see, did he have his motorcycle with him at the time?
I believe he did. I believe he did.
Well, let's see, you know where the coop is. Come and hang out.
we call it the pigeon coop, because we're just a bunch of pigeons here.
He's so much fun, and I always told him, I know you can do the Mosconi record. I just believe that you can do it. And he'd say, I'll never do it, but he really believes in his heart he can do it. And I used to encourage him, and he'd go and try and get disappointed, but it was an amazing feat that he beat Mosconi's record. So some people want
unbelievable, actually.
You think anybody else will ever break it?
No. Oh, well, I mean, surely at some point they will, but I don't think anybody. I mean, Mosconi's lasted 65 years, and John's the only guy I ever even heard verbalize that he would like to try to make it a run at it. I've never heard all the other pros. They act like it's impossible. It's just foregone. They don't even mention it like it's on the realm of possibility.
I've always asked that question too. If I've always asked the question if somebody was to put up a big pile of cash somewhere, would one of them pros come out and break that record? I don't know if it's I don't know how reachable that record is. I mean, 520 or 626 is a lot of balls to run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you have to be pretty lucky. Nick Varner said it best. It's 44 break shots plus 10 more balls. And Nick said, I told Nick, he made 0 bank shots in that run. And Nick couldn't hardly believe it. And then he said, but I can't believe anybody made 44 break shots consecutively. Not just not miss. Let alone you got to get a shot after the break shot. And
right.
Most of his big runs did not end on a miss. It ended on where some ball tangled up on the cue ball where there's no shot, or it kissed the cue ball back into the side.
Right.
It wasn't like he missed a wide open ball when he got to 200 and 300 balls. And so it was an astounding feat. But you'd say, well, there's guys that shoot straighter than John Schmidt, and there is a couple, but they don't have the attention span. And so even if you put up a big pile of money, there's a lot of guys that'll get to 200, but 626 is a long way away.
That's a long road to tote.
Right. That's
right.
That's quite the session for sure. Well, like I said, Mark, it's been amazing talking to you, and if I'm sure if we could probably sit here for hours and hours and go on, but like I said, hearing your wildlife in the background is making me want to go outside really bad. So
I'm out here in the country. I told you that.
Yeah.
I just want to finish up with one thing though.
Oh.
You asked me about my book earlier, and I
yes.
couldn't be prouder of the book. It's currently out of print just today, and it's an odd, long story. I ordered them in February. They were to be here in the middle of March or May, and then all of a sudden they sent me all my money back and said they're not going to be able to produce books. So I had to. Just today, I got a new printer and everything, but it's still 2 to 6 months away. So, anyway, that's the story.
Yeah, we heard some people asking about it because they said they were trying to find it, and I know I looked around like crazy trying to find somewhere that I could say, this is where you could get it, and it was completely unavailable. So,
no, nobody has them, and I don't. I have one personal copy that's not for sale, and that's it. I mean, it's the saddest thing ever for me.
Well, when you do get the ball rolling on that, we will definitely advertise it on our page, and we'll let people know where it's at, because we did have a lot of people that had, we certainly some interest in it, and so I think
I want one.
Yeah, I know Jason Welker wants one too.
It's an amazing book. I mean, I don't think I've seen a bad word one about it. I mean, how from the information and how well the book was put together. I mean, a book is good when people are saying the pages are nice.
Oh yeah, no, it's a high quality. Well, I was insistent about it. It's 17 years in the making. It's one of my proudest accomplishments, and it's not a cheap reiteration of what's out there, because I wasn't interested, and never was I interested in the monetary part of it. Truly, I had $70,000 cash in the book to begin with. And so I've now recovered that, but it's a long, slow process. And my wife would say, man, nobody's going to want it. Nobody's going to want it. And I said, well, I don't care if nobody wants it. I'll own them all. I don't care. I'm doing this, And so it was never about that part of it. But when I'm dead and gone, I want someone to pick up that thing and say, holy shit, this guy really thought about pool.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. So I will be on that list of people for when it comes out. So I'll definitely look forward to it.
You'll enjoy part 4. It's all real pool stories that happened along the way, and you can't make it up. I wish I was that creative, but anyway, some really cool things. And plus, you'll know most of the people too.
Well, that's awesome. Well, maybe we'll get to talk to you again, or maybe we'll catch up with you at one of your clinics. Maybe we'll come hang out or something like that, or run across you at some point. And then, like I said, you know where the coop's at, so you're more than welcome to come hang out with us. And there's probably a couple guys here wouldn't mind donating to the cause.
We got a ring
bit.
game going on right now.
If you happen to watch,
that's cool.
They're in the background playing right now. So we'll send you some links to the show so you can check it out. But Mark Wilson here on TNT Off the Rail. It's been amazing talking to you, Mark. You have done some great things for the sport, and look forward to the future and the things that you do. And I hope people that heard this, or, listen to this tonight or hear it down the road, take heed some of the things you said, because the sport needs something, and they need more people like you with the passion, because it's going to take something like that to get our sport, and that's something that I've always clung to a lot, was, like you said, referring to it as a sport, because like you said, a game is something, and we need it, and we need to let people know we're still here, and then we're not giving up on it, and then we want to take it to the next level, and I hope it gets there, and I'm sure it will, and when it does, people will look back, and it will be people like you and the things you've done that helped us get to that next level. So we appreciate you taking the time and talking with us tonight. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and feel free to hit us up anytime you want to talk or share anything down the road. And
hey, I want to say something too in closing. I really sincerely appreciate the opportunity, and I love what you guys are doing and support it. And if you ever have a question, comment, or anyone that hears this, they want a little attention or have something, just ask me. Just hit me up. Just go on my website. All my contact information is right there. So I answer my emails. So anyway,
I appreciate that, and I'm sure you will probably hear from Sam, because Sam is he is the epitome of some of the things you were talking about like that. And if you do get a second, you might want to check him out. He might give you a little might give you a little hope for the future, because Sam's he's a good kid, and he's doing real good things with the sport right now, and the way he does it. So, Mark, again, thank you very much.
I didn't say it, but I know Sam.
That probably
he wears one of my Lindenwood jerseys.
Oh, sweet!
There you go.
He does, like I said, he does a great job. He does such a great job supporting. We always razz him about his interview skills, on how he doesn't talk much about his sponsors, but he really does. He does a great job. I don't know if you saw him just a couple weeks ago. He actually they did a little spot him on Quad Cities News Channel.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Mark, thank you very much. You have a great night, and thank you again for everything you do for the sport, and we look forward to the future. And have a great night. Thanks again for stopping by.
Okay, thank you. Shoot pool, not people.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Have a great night.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep. Bye.
That was a nice interview.
That was awesome.
It was great to have Mark on. I mean, one of my idols in pool. I mean, I people get all gaga, when they see like movie stars or this, that, whatever. I'm talking to Mark Wilson over here, and I got goosebumps.
Right.
I mean, if you look, my hair is still standing up. Just to listen to the guy talk pool about his passion and this, that, whatever. It's amazing, what the guy has to say.
And that's the kind of stuff. And Fridley, I'm kicking myself in the butt, because I kept seeing you put that in there about asking him. I was going to tell him, well, next time you're hanging out with Allison, give her our number. Tell her to give us a call.
Yeah.
So Mark, if you watch this afterwards, hey, drop that number.
Yeah, we'd like to talk. We'd like
to hear what Allison has to say about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you drop our number, just kind of, accidentally write it down, leave it on the table after our lesson. Oh, these guys are pretty cool. You should check them out. So, all right. I don't have a bunch more Hollywoods. I know he's at the end of his rope with me. He's over here giving me he wants a choke me signal.
No, we're good. We got we got, now that everything's going to be open and back up and stuff like that, and we want to take this show on the road.
We do. We talked about it a little bit at the very beginning. We want to take it on this road. So if you guys know, or you are a venue watching the show and you would love to have TNT Off the Rail come do an episode from your venue, get a hold of us, 833-TNT Pool. That's 833-868-7665. Hit us up on the Facebook page, our website. I mean, there's just a ton of ways to get a hold of us. If you know Hollywood, you can holler at him and he'll get a hold of me. We'll figure out. That's what we do. We highlight the people and the places that grow and promote our sport. So if you're doing that, we want to tell people how awesome you are. So we'd love to come hang out.
And we want to come eat your food.
Well, yeah, we want to eat your food too, but mostly we want to show people how cool you are for helping grow and and support the sport, especially nowadays. So if that's something you're interested in, absolutely absolutely get a hold of us, and we will bring the show to you, and we'll bring the crowd. We got a great crowd behind us here playing the ring game in the Pigeon Coop. Give them a big round of look at them awesome people. And then we got all the stage crew over here is all crashed out on the couch.
Yeah, we got the couch over here, and the girls are over there laying
Yeah,
there just half asleep.
I don't know what they're doing. And again, big, huge thanks to Jim Fridley again for helping
Jim.
set this up. Jim, you're awesome. And thanks for everybody who's shared your questions. I hope I got everybody. I think I did. Until next time, I'm Bud. That's Hollywood. This has been TNT Off the Rail. I like what Mark said. Shoot pool, not people. I almost messed it up.
I agree.
And
100%.
remember, everything's opening back up. Go out there and enjoy it. Be nice. Tip. Be nice. Tip. Just do that stuff and be cool. Act like you missed them and show them that you missed them.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night. We'll see you next week.